Congratulations on your purchase of your paw lift, the stair lift for your pet. Please take the time to familiarize yourself with the installation instructions, as it will help the installation go more smoothly. Also familiarize yourself with the tools needed as well as the components of your lift. Let's get started. Locate the two halves of the upper control bar. Remove the number 8 screw. Slide the two halves of the control bar together, aligning the pre-drilled hole with the self-tapping hole in the control bar. Replace the number 8 screw with your Phillips screwdriver. Don't use your cordless drill, as it might strip the threads out. Once you have the control bar together, locate the control bar at the top of the stairs closest to one wall and orient the anchors to the control bar as shown. Locate the needle screws 1.5 inches long, as these will be used to fasten the anchors to the stair. Use your awl to start a hole through the carpet and pad. Once you have this done, place a screw in the hole and use your cordless drill to anchor it. Once you have both needle screws in the upper anchor, we'll move to the lower anchor, using your level to ensure the upright is actually plumb. Again, using your awl to start the hole through the carpet and the pad. Place your screw in the hole and fasten down your anchor. Once you have one side of the control bar anchored, we'll move to the other side and do the upper anchor on the opposite side, ensuring that it's plumb. Again, take your awl, start a hole through the carpet and the pad, placing your screw in the hole and anchoring the upper anchor. Once you have the upper anchor on the opposite side complete, again ensure the upright is plumb. Use your awl once again to push through the carpet and the pad and go to the lower anchor and fasten it down, ensuring it stays plumb. Once we have the upper control bar in, we're going to install the winch and the upper rail assembly. Place this assembly between the uprights. Once you have the winch and upper assembly located between the rails, use your measuring tape to ensure that the winch is centered between the uprights. This is very important to ensure that the carrier does not impact either one of the uprights. So ensure this is centered by measuring between both rails and the winch. Once you have it centered, again use your awl to push a hole through the carpet and put a needle screw in the upper stabilizer. Once you have the one anchor screw in, ensure that there's actually a small gap between the cover and the upper step tread. This is important that these don't really impact right here. Hard to see the space there, but I can feel it between the carpet and the plastic cover. We only put a single screw in the upper anchor because we want to ensure that the rail is actually parallel to the wall. So to ensure this, take your measuring tape and measure between the rail and the wall at the uppermost section and the lowermost section, ensuring those measurements match. Once you ensure the winch is actually centered and the rail is actually parallel to the wall, let's put the other anchor screw in. The next thing you're going to want to do is remove the shipping block stop from the riser. Beneath this, there's a Phillips screw. Use your Phillips screwdriver, remove the screw, and remove the shipping block, and discard them. Once you have the upper rail in place and the winch, locate the rail splices and the remaining sections of rail, as well as your 3/16 Allen wrench. To install the rail splices, take the dowel pin component, place it beneath the upper rail, and align the 3/6 dowel pin hole with the 3/16 dowel pin. Take the subsequent piece of rail and place it over the dowel pin, aligning the two together. To complete it, you need to take the upper key, place it in the channel, and snap them together. Once these are in place, take your two 5/16 button head cap screws, place them into the splice, and then tighten them down with your 3/16 Allen. There is one thing that's unique about our setup for this demonstration is our lowest section of rail extends beyond the lowest step. When you place your order for your paw lift, the bottom section will be custom cut to terminate right here at your bottom stair. But for demonstration purposes, we have not custom cut a section to actually match this, but it won't impact the installation or what the instructions are showing you during this demonstration. Once you have the rail completely assembled using the rail splices, you're going to want to locate all of the stabilizer hardware as well as the longer bolts. The longer 5/16 bolts will be used to mount the stabilizers to the rail. In order to do this, you'll have to remove the existing 5/16 bolts that are in the rail when it's shipped in the locations where you're going to place a stabilizer. In order to do this, use your 1/2-inch wrench and remove the hardware from where you're going to place the stabilizer. Once you've determined where you're going to put the stabilizers, take the center step mount, the bottom portion of the rail, slide it beneath the rail, and you'll want the step mount to touch the top of the tread. Once you actually get this done, using one of the longer bolts, 5/16 bolts, with the washers from the previous hardware, place it in the center hole and replace the square nut in the center of the rail. Once you have this done, place the center shaft in the step mount, and the spacer actually goes to the inside toward the wall, placing it over the shaft. The next two items would be use the end caps, place those on the center shaft, both on the inside and the outside. Once these are in place, use your measuring tape to ensure that the rail is still parallel to the wall referencing your measurement from the top of the rail. Once these are in place and ensuring that the step mount is actually at the top of the tread, use your 1/2-inch wrench and locate your T-nut wrench. Place it over the nut in the center of the rail and tighten up the bolt. Once you have this done, again use your awl to place a hole through the carpet and the pad, and then using a needle screw, fasten the hardware to the stair. Once you have completed this, repeat this process throughout the length of the rail. Once you have all of the stabilizers installed along the rail, the next step would be to install the lower limit controls. Locate the lower limit control as well as the lower limit control switch. The first thing we'll do is actually install the lower limit control. To do this, we've removed one of the 5/16 fasteners, and then using one of the longer 5/16 fasteners, we'll install this along the bottom of the rail. This switch is actually adjustable, and it actually controls how far the carrier comes down the rail before it stops. The next step would be to install the lower control switch. To do this, you'll need the control switch as well as the plastic raceway and a pair of scissors. Next, let's place the lower control on the wall at the desired height just above the lower limit switch. To do this, remove the protective strip from the adhesive on the back and place on the wall at the desired height. Next, let's measure from the bottom of the control switch to the top of the trim board. This will be the length of the plastic raceway that's used to encase the lower control wire. Next, let's cut the plastic raceway using the measuring tape and a pair of scissors. Once you've cut the plastic raceway to the desired length, bend it in the rectangular shape along the seams, leaving the front seam open so you can place the control wire in the raceway. To do this, you'll want to fold the raceway along the seams opposite the adhesive strip. You want to fold it over firmly until you hear the seams snap into place. And again, leaving the front open so you can place the wire in the raceway. Once you have snapped the raceway together, remove the protective backing from the adhesive strip and place the raceway on the wall, aligning it with the control wire just beneath the control switch. Once you have the raceway affixed to the wall, place the control cable inside the raceway and snap the raceway closed. Once you have the control cable in the raceway, plug the control cable into the lower limit switch. Next, we'll need to take and actually connect the lower control cable to the upper limit control at the top of the rail. To do this, we'll have to actually encase it in the raceway. So we'll take a measurement from a few inches above the lower limit control to the next stabilizer. Once you have the raceway cut to the desired length, I'm going to show you this just for demonstration purposes, but it actually placed with the adhesive strip up, and I'm showing you on the outside of the rail up to the stabilizer. Now in practice, what you're going to want to do is actually put this raceway on the inside. But as you can see, I've got this facing up with it open on the bottom. And what you would do is actually place the control cable in this all the way along the raceway to the top of the rail. For demonstration purposes, once again, I'll show you on the outside of the rail, but in practice this cable would go to the inside of the rail closest to the wall. When you transition from one part of the plastic raceway across a stabilizer, you'll notice there's a space in between the bottom of the rail and the top of the stabilizer. This is exactly where you want the control cable to ride. In order to place the raceway beneath where the carriage sits, you'll need to move the carriage. In order to do this, grab the rope at the top of the carriage, pull slightly while supporting the back of the carriage, and release the catch pawl and slide the carriage down past the point where you'll need to place the raceway. Release the rope and let the catch pawl catch on the next stop nut. Once you have that done, place your next piece of raceway beneath the rail, route the control wire inside the raceway, and firmly snap to close. Next, we're going to connect the upper and lower control cables to the winch control. Notice that with both cables, they are different connectors. One's a female and one's a male. Match them up with the appropriate connector on the winch control and plug them in. Next, we'll connect the winch control cable to the control box. So locate the control box and ensure the switch is in the off position. Rotate the control box, find the winch control connector, and connect these together. Once you have connected the winch control cable to the control box, do not connect the control box to AC power at this time. Locate the nylon single-hole straps with screws and secure the control cable either along the baseboard or beneath the upper tread, ensuring the control box and cable are out of the treadway. The next step is we're going to connect the UPS batteries located inside the control box. To do that, you're going to loosen the 4 screws that hold the cover on, ensuring that there is no AC power connected to the control box and that the on-off switch is in the off position. Remove the cover and notice the negative and positive terminals that have no connections to the UPS batteries. First, remove the protective plastic cover from the negative terminal. Take the black lead and connect to the terminal. Remove the positive protective terminal and use the positive fused lead and plug into the UPS battery. Once you have these connections complete, replace the cover and fasten the screws tightly in place. Our next step is we want to install the carrier. In order to do this, we need to ensure that the carriage is actually at the bottom of the rail. Again, pull on the rope, releasing the pawl, and guide the carriage to the bottom of the rail, ensuring that the rope does not catch or snag on any of the rail components. Our next step, of course, is to install the carrier, and the first thing we need to do is cut the securing ties from the release pedal using the scissors. Once we have this done, we're going to depress the release pedal, but at the same time we'll have to hold on to the top of the carrier as it will expand with quite a bit of force until it reaches its max extension on the spring. So to install the carrier, the first thing we'll have to do, it's not shown here, however there are 8 protective sleeves over the threads and shipping on all 8 of these studs. You're going to want to remove those and discard them. Once you do that, locate the hardware, the nuts and washers for installing the carrier. Also, the carrier is quite heavy, so get some help lifting the carrier and installing it over the top of the studs. Once you have the carrier in place, and again, get help placing this, the carrier is heavy, install the flat washers and the lock washers and the nuts on all 8 of the studs and tighten them with the 1/2-inch wrench. Next, let's test the lift, and to do that, we'll plug in the AC power to the control box and then turn the switch to the on position. You'll see the green light illuminate. Next, we'll test the limit switches. First, the upper limit switch. By depressing the upper control switch to raise the lift, we'll depress the limit switch. The lift should stop moving. Next, we'll test the lower limit control switch by using the lower control, lowering the lift, and then depressing the limit switch. The lift should stop moving. Finally, push down on the back of the pet lift in its lowest position, locking it in the loading position. Open the lower gate and open the upper gate. And place the tread tray in the center of the carrier. Once you have that done, close the upper gate. Remove the protective coating from the inside and the outside of the polycarbonate sides, and your lift is ready to use.